Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Stepping Up to the Plate. I'm your host, Michael Vega. So glad you could join us here for all manner of sports talk involving a lot of the New England teams, NFL playoffs, Patriots, Celtics, Bruins. Of course, so much to dissect and analyze here. And I want to thank my main man, Al Presutti, for joining me here on the dais. So much excitement, Al. Revolving around the Bruins and the Celtics. But you know what? The Patriots have made some news here of late. Before we delve into those teams, I wanted to talk a little bit about that involving the Patriots hiring of Bill O'Brien. Unofficially, I guess the league sources are confirming that the Patriots have reached out to the University of Alabama to pluck their next offensive coordinator, which is, I think, a bold move, but one that was necessary in order to keep this franchise really from going off the deep end, off track, because that's where they wound up going, off the rails here with their offense that just completely stagnated. And you could see that this thing was going off the rails as far back as preseason when Bill Belichick had issues with making a definitive call on who was going to be his offensive coordinator after Josh McDaniels had left to go to the Los Angeles Raiders become their head coach, or Las Vegas Raiders, I should say, to become their head coach. And brought back Joe Judge, failed coach with the Giants. Brought back Matt Patricia, who's a failed coach, head coach with the Lions, and could not make a definitive call between one or the other, and then wound up having it done by committee, it seemed like, with Matt Patricia doing a lot of the play calling. And we saw how that just devolved into a huge mess for this team, and it did a terrible disservice, I maintain, to Mac Jones, because we saw some market improvement in him towards the end of the previous season and then just going off a cliff this year.
Well, I think the couple of good things about O'Brien, though, is he has some relationship with Jones.
Yes.
At Alabama.
Yes.
So I don't think Jones is going to say, well, I don't know what this guy's looking for. Secondly, the guy is an offensive coordinator. That's what he really does very well. Right. I mean, he spent time at Penn State, and he was with the Patriots too. So this one thing about Belichick, though, with Matt Patricia was really the defensive guy for Belichick.
Yeah. Before
he left and went to Detroit.
Right.
And when he came back, I think they're talking about putting him in an administrative role. He's a very intelligent person, but not an offensive coordinator. So this should help the Patriots, I think, because if they had a weakness, it was offense. It wasn't defense.
No.
And defense really got them to 8 and 9.
Yeah, and that's where the Patriots spent the majority of their money was, these big free agent acquisitions, were on the defensive side. Matthew Judon, and obviously he's been well worth every penny that was spent on him. Yeah. But, clearly, Al, it was the degradation of the offense under these two guys because they never seemed to give Mac Jones a clear picture of what they wanted to do. And at the end, I think you could see him come to a heads, and they clashed on the field sometimes about, the scheme. And, it got to a point where even opposing, defensive coordinators said, derisively, I thought, that, this offense looked like it's devised by a couple of defensive guys.
Well, the only thing that I look at, though, is you can say you can put the plays out there. The players got to do the job too. And I
Yes.
think both Jones was second year. He did have a better second half of the first year, but you had a lot of guys that weren't familiar with Jones receiving.
Right.
And I think that was a problem, that they didn't make adjustments. One of the things about the Patriots that always impressed everybody, at least people who were in the know, was in the first half, if the Patriots were trailing or things weren't happening correctly, during halftime he made the adjustments.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen this year. And the special teams were awful.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I think that there is a step back where Belichick is going to say, you know what, we better put our best foot forward here, or we're all going to be gone.
Well, yeah. And, so do you reassign Judge to be the special teams coordinator, which he was
Maybe.
here before he wound up going to the Giants? And then you've got to spend some capital fortifying that area with, maybe a new punter, a new kicker.
Oh, you need a punter. I don't
Well,
think you
certainly a
need a
new
field goal.
punter, a new kicker, but they do have some promising return men. Marcus Jones,
Yeah,
the young kid. And the thing that I liked, Al, was that this kid revealed himself to be a weapon. He had the great return against the Jets that brought the Patriots back. He had another one, I think in another game. But then we saw the light bulb go off in maybe Patricia's head when he decided to incorporate Jones and utilize his speed on the perimeter. And the first play he gets on the field, they throw him a touchdown. He gets a quick little out pass and he's gone. And I was like, eureka! They finally figured it out, how they can attack teams using their best and most dangerous players. Guess what happens then, Al? He disappears.
Yeah.
He disappeared from the scheme.
Well, they could.
I'm like, you could have used that guy on jet sweeps. You could have used him on
Well,
screens.
they could have used the old inside-outside game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happened with the Packers, where they had an inside and an outside. You had Horning could do one thing, and you had somebody else who did more on the inside. And Stevenson is the guy that would be.
Yeah.
He's a terrific player.
Yeah.
And he can receive. I think he led the team in receptions as well.
Damian Harris is another back in that.
1,000
Yeah.
yards.
Yeah.
So those kinds of weapons got to be utilized.
Yes,
And
better.
And so I blame the offensive coordinator and Belichick for that. So we'll see.
Well,
We'll see what
you
happens.
said a mouthful there. It says you blame Belichick. A lot of people really haven't. And a lot of people have been living with their head in the sand this past year because, Belichick bears a lot of responsibility for
sure
this
he
thing
does.
going sideways because it was his call. And I think it was extraordinary measures that the Crafts took. If you recall, right after the season ended, they put out that letter to all their season ticket holders that season was unacceptable, that there were changes coming. And I think Kraft sat down with Belichick and said, listen, you need to go out and get an offensive coordinator. We're not going to have this next year.
Yeah.
We're not going to survive another season, and we're not going to tolerate another season
Who did
with
special
you
teams?
not making a call.
Who was the special teams?
Cam McCord.
Well, that game against Buffalo, and Buffalo really wasn't the same team it was last year, but that game against Buffalo, those two returns cost them the game. You take those away,
Yeah.
and they had more
Well, I
points
mean, to
than
open the
Buffalo.
game like that,
Right. So
Yeah.
they have a lot of things they got to work on. They got to stop the big penalties when they need, 3rd and 3 and then
Self-inflicted
offside.
wounds,
or blah,
yes.
blah, blah.
Yes.
That type of stuff, which Patriots never did. Okay, never led the league in penalties and special teams. If they can fix that, I think that O'Brien is going to fix the offense.
So what is your, I think, the most important need right now as they look at the draft?
I would think that it's offensive linemen.
Yeah, I'm Al. I'm right with you on that. And I think it's got to be an edge, protector, a tackle, left side, right side. You got to build your offensive line from the outside in. Interior linemen they have plenty of.
Yeah.
I think David
It's not the
Andrews he's a solid center. They have some pretty good you know, people in the interior at the guards, they went out and got Cole Strange, which to me, you know, was a strange pick, right? I don't, yeah, no pun intended. Well, yeah, it was intended. But he struggled before he started gaining traction. But at least you see there's some ability there. And I think they need to get rid of some of the guys like Isaiah Wynn, who really, I mean, you look back, a total bust. But he wasn't built for, you know.
I think that they need to get tight ends that not only can catch the ball and gain yards, kind of like a Gronk in a way, but the guy who can block.
Yeah.
To solidify, if they had had that, they would have been a better offensive line. They didn't.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, these guys were getting.
And Jonnu Smith disappeared. Hunter Henry became a vital component into the passing game. You take him away and bring and keep him in to block. That's one less weapon for Mac Jones. So those are the things I think that they need to sort out in Foxborough.
What people need to stop this. Oh, they stink. They don't stink. They were 8 and 9. They almost made the playoffs.
Right.
They made it the year before, just barely made it the year before. But if you look at the teams that are ahead of them, they've got as good a defense as anybody who's ahead of them. What they didn't have was the offense. If they can fix that and get to 11-6 or 12-5, they could win.
And it's all about complementary football, Al. You know, all phases in an NFL game have to be working, you know, in synchronous fashion.
Yeah, it's a team.
And so, you know, you look at the playoffs right now and the teams that are still alive. I'll put it to you. Who do you like right now? And I'll tell you who I like.
Philly.
You like Philly all the way. You're calling them. And what about the AFC?
Kansas City.
I'm gonna. Those are good choices, but I'm gonna go against you on both. I'm gonna go with the 49ers.
You know what?
Because here's what I'll tell you.
Yeah.
The 49ers.
They're loaded.
Not only, but they made an important acquisition midseason in Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. And he's a guy who was a game breaker. And then you add him to the mix with Deebo Samuel, with Brendan Ayuk, who's like a clutch possession receiver.
Wow.
George Kittle, you know, is a great tight end for them. And that defense, and Al, guess what you got? A team that's playing great complementary football right now.
Well, yeah, but I'll challenge you on this and say if I was to take the quarterback for the 49ers and Mahomes is a winner. He is as good a player.
True.
He went out. He got hurt. That looked like it was either a knee or an ankle.
He
goes out. He was really upset that they told him he had to go in.
He was not.
And then
he's playing on one leg, and they didn't need that.
You could still see, though, when he's playing with one leg, he still was mobile enough to see open guys. He's a terrific quarterback.
He sees the field, yeah.
So when I look at that, I say, what wins in football? Defense and quarterbacks. And Kansas City.
Well, we're going to find out about Patrick Mahomes in the first couple series, maybe the first couple plays.
If he's not 100%, let me put it this way.
He's not going to be.
If he's only 75%, he's still a great.
He's still good, but you know what? In this game against the Bengals defense, he's going to have to be 100%.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Burrows is a player.
And that's the reason I like the Bengals and the 49ers to meet up in the Super Bowl, because I think the Bengals are a team like last year. They were underrated, and people kind of overlooked them, but they have proven to be a team that's also playing great complementary football.
But that's the good thing about what's going on right now is, you know, I'm going to sit here and say Philadelphia and Kansas City, you're going to say this and that, and they all could win.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, Philadelphia was one of the best teams during the season.
Yeah. But, you know, the little cracks started coming, and that's when, guess what? Their quarterback went out.
Still, you know, it's a funny thing when I think it was Romo who talks about Mahomes. Everybody was going, well, he can't throw off of his back leg. He still did it.
Yeah.
He did it. And the kid I think he's the toughest of the quarter. I think
because you know what? He makes you guard sideline to sideline. And if he can't make you do that, then he becomes vulnerable.
Yeah, I think the fact that he finished the game And now he's got this week. I mean, they'll work on him like he'll be fine. They did an X-ray on his leg, and there was nothing there.
Well, yeah, but you know what? High ankle sprains are nagging issues, man.
It's not easy.
And he's going to have to like really suck it up.
They'll tape him up.
Yeah.
Take
him. They'll tape him up and shoot him up, and
we'll see.
Well, so Al, we'll see how that turns out. We'll probably have to make our wagers at a later time here, but. The other big news here too is just the unbelievable run that the Bruins remain on. With some very impressive wins this past week. Against the Sharks, and now they're at Montreal.
To me, what's amazing about this team is when they don't play that well, which they did not do in the first period last night. Montreal had 11 guys not dressed.
Yeah.
I mean, Montreal is in last place.
And
Montreal, right up into the 58th minute, had a chance to win that game.
Without a doubt.
And Swayman played very well, and he's been a surprise because he started so bad. Ullman was a surprise because when they got him from Buffalo, everybody said, "Who's this guy?"
Right.
And it took him a while to get settled. I think Essner got to get the credit
for sure,
because
you got two legit. One goalies.
Swayman still gives up too many rebounds out front.
Yeah.
And on a good team, you're going to get burnt.
Yeah.
He's got to be able to throw that to the sides, especially with this side because that's a stick side. But anyway.
And the thing too, Al, that's really been impressive to me in the past is the production they're getting out of the D-core. Against the Sharks, you had some great performances from Lindholm. How about that goal that Charlie McAvoy scored against the Sharks, where he just took the puck, ran, skated, toe drag, and then
he's in the conversation for
a Vezina?
Top defenseman.
Oh yeah, okay.
But you know what's interesting watching this team?
He
now,
could be for Vezina.
I was really happy to see Taylor Hall score the goal.
Yeah.
Because that's a dirty goal. I mean, he got a rebound. He was standing there, but when he put it in. He works as hard as anybody.
Yes.
And for us to go 16 games, if I was and I love what they did last night. They tried to feed him after he scored his first goal.
Yeah, just to get him going.
Well, because they like the kid. They know he works hard.
Yeah.
And it's like Charlie Coyle. If Charlie Coyle ever could get more offensive, he's a terrific player.
Love those guys.
He's up and down the ice.
Let me tell you what, they have several guys like that.
Yeah,
I mean, Forbert is like that.
Forbert on defense.
And Lindholm.
The kid
hard work.
kid that's got hammered by Cassidy, from what I understand, is Brandon Carlo.
Yeah.
But Brandon Carlo has been playing very well. Plus, I wish he was a little more physical. He's 6'5". He should be a little more physical than what he is. But he reminds me of McQuaid. He's a defensive defenseman.
Yeah, he stays at home defenseman.
And that's fine with this team because all of them are in the offensive zone.
They're engaged, yeah.
I mean, they're behind the net.
Grizzlick, you've got,
Grizzlick's a skater. He's a good skater.
Grizzlick, McAvoy, Lindholm.
Connor Clifton will hit everybody that moves.
Love him guy. I love that guy.
But when they win, when they don't play well, that's the surprising thing. I said before, I had a friend of mine called me and said, "What do you think?" I said, Montreal is an interesting place to go because hockey's an emotional game. They can win they beat Toronto the night before,
Yeah.
So this is not a bad team playing with 11 guys that are out.
Yeah.
I think their goaltending is so-so.
Yeah.
But when teams want to play in their own home, like Montreal, and they're emotional, they can win any game.
Now, what's the record now for the Bruins? Is it 21, 22, 1 and 3? I think it's 22, 1 and 3. Yeah.
Yeah. But the interesting thing though is that I've been watching hockey. Was just talking about this earlier. Since 1955, the first game I went to was in 1955. I saw Detroit.
Straight out of the womb.
Well, I saw Detroit play the Bruins, and the Bruins were the worst team.
Yeah.
Bruins and the Rangers in the 50s until Bobby Orr came along. The Bruins and the Rangers were the 5th and 6th teams.
Yeah.
Montreal, Toronto, and Detroit.
Yeah.
Were the three. In Chicago, not as much, but early you're talking Toronto,
Original 6.
Montreal, and
Yeah.
Detroit.
Yeah.
I've never seen a team play this well, this long. They look like they're going to win every game.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
They trail, they come right back. I mean,
It's interesting how they react to being scored upon.
you know,
The intensity just ratchets it up. Man,
I
Al.
swear, you know, Montgomery gets these guys after the first period and say, stick with it, we're going to win. And so they stayed with this system.
They're
They
buying
don't
in.
panic.
Al,
No, yeah.
they're all engaged. They're all in.
It's fun to watch, but you think the bubble is going to burst because I've never seen a team do this.
Yeah.
Now
you
they
know,
got Tampa next game. Then they
Down
got
there on the-
Florida.
on the road. They got the Florida swing.
Yeah, so
I mean, they did a nice job. You know, out in the West Coast. They come back. They go to New York. They sweep New York. They go up
Tampa's
to
going to be a tough
Montreal. They
one
win
for
on
them
the.
because
So
Tampa.
they've shown they can win at home and on the road.
Oh yeah, well God, they've only lost 5 games all year.
Right? Unbelievable.
I mean,
The
37
President's Cup trophy candidate, leader,
They got 80
runaway leader in the clubhouse for that.
80 points.
And
What
it's-
is it? January.
Yeah.
They've got 80
And
points.
it's amazing to me, Al. Almost everyone on the team is having some sort of career year.
Well,
Everybody on the team has some kind of
they're
accomplishment.
cohesive though. They're very much what you'd call a team. You can just see it.
They play
I mean,
complementary hockey, right?
It's fascinating to watch. I mean,
What I love
hockey's a
watching
beautiful
is the
sport to
layer
watch.
of defense. You know, the defensive layers they throw at teams. They make it tough for you to clear the puck. They make it tough for you to get through the neutral zone.
Watch this team check,
Yeah.
because that is the thing that they weren't as good at for years.
Yeah.
As soon as that puck gets to somebody, there's somebody on them.
There's not just one guy.
Well,
That's like they're coming
they
with
talk
two and
about the
sometimes
layers.
three.
They
Yeah.
always have the layers, and they're smart. They don't throw the puck east to west. They go north to south to
South.
get the puck out. Because
Right.
you know those passes that go across, somebody steals the puck and comes in.
Or the
Ullman
the
makes
puck
the save.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But-
They've been tremendous, Al. So a lot to be excited there with the Bruins, hoping for a deep postseason run. Stanley Cup or bust. It seems like that's the mantra there for the Bruins on Causeway Street. The other team, I'm having some reservations about. I think the bubble might be bursting for them. They've had, and I'm talking about the Celtics, who have also had a tremendous run, overcome a lot of adversity at season start. You know, the team has come together, but they've been bogged down by some injuries.
Well-
I'm afraid that their best player right now is starting to get fatigued, and he's dealing with a wrist issue. And Jason Tatum, I think they're going to have to manage some of his minutes here in the next month or so in order to have him available at the end.
But this is a concept of a team that the fabric has always been team.
Yeah.
And now you've got Brown out last night, Marcus Smart out, then the game before you had Jason
Brogdon.
Tatum out, you got Brogdon. So they're not cohesive yet. I think they're fine. I still think that they're going to be at the end there.
Yeah.
Now whether they win, because you never know in the big games who wins.
Well, the thing
They're there.
that this, you know, little stretch here has shown is that, you know what, they do have some decent players on that bench because they relied upon
Oh,
those
yeah.
players in Toronto when you had a lot of guys out
Well,
for that game.
Pritchard played a great game, but last night Pritchard was covering a guy
Well,
6 inches taller than him.
Well, he
and
got
that was-
switched out on.
I know, that was a
on
bad
Mo Ba-
play.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
And they have to recognize that early and switch off.
Right.
But yeah, you can't get pinned down on the post against him. But you know what? To his credit, Bamba was taking it to everybody. Everybody. You know, that little curl around, they had a key top, the action that they ran where they brought him around a key top screen and he flashed up for an open look on the elbow. He knocked that down every time. And then, like, they gave him the option either to curl around for the elbow jumper or crash the rim, crash the glass for offensive board, or to take a pass, interior pass on the cut, and he's just too strong.
See,
And once he's coming downhill,
But what hurt the Celtics last night is the two guys that really make the defense. Marcus Smart, because
Yes.
he's all over the place.
Yes.
And Brown.
Yes.
And they're both out last night.
Can't have that.
Well, you can't have it because, defense is what wins games.
Yeah.
In the
Well, there are
NBA.
times where, like, if Tatum is struggling, Brown will pick him up because
Oh, yeah.
Brown will attack the glass.
Oh, yeah.
And then what that does is it puts a lot of their guys in foul trouble, gets him on the line,
Yeah.
and then now the Celtics get some separation.
I think tactics have to change, though. When you lose guys like Smart and Brown in a game,
Yeah.
you got to stay away from the threes and you got to go to the basket.
Yes. Because I agree, because they were too reliant upon the
Yeah.
threes.
Yeah, well,
And I think
you're only
that's a
going to hit
function-
30%
I
of
think
them,
that
35.
for Tatum, that's a function of his fatigue because it's hard work for him
Yeah.
to get to the glass. And last night he was trying to, make things happen against, double teams and triple teams and then turning it over like he did at the end. Making a cross-court skip pass that is something fundamentally flawed, and you cannot have that happen. But
Well, there's a couple other things that are in the short time that we have that I'll bring up. One is the Australian Open, which Djokovic is now one of 4 players. He could win his 23rd or
Yeah.
22nd major. He's been playing very well.
yeah,
The Americans had 3 guys on the men's side, which they've never had, that made the final 8.
yeah,
Paul and Shelton and guys like that, real good players. And Korda.
yeah.
Korda's
Korda.
sister's a tennis player. His
professional
father,
golf.
there's a lot of genes there.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I think is fascinating, very quickly, is what's going on with golf. I read this morning that Rory McIlroy and Sergio Garcia, incidentally, Sergio Garcia was his best man when he got married, McIlroy.
No, they're like,
They're not talking.
right.
And they said they will never talk, probably never talk again.
That's a
Well, this
shame.
rift between who's going to play in the Ryder Cup, if he's an LIV, if he's not, to me, kind of ruins what you think that these
The Ryder Cup is
things
about.
are all about.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but there's definitely a rift between players wanting to play with LIV players, and of course the PGA, and then you've got what's his name there on the LIV side. So
Yeah.
the lawsuits going back and forth. I guess McIlroy got a lawsuit from Patrick Reed on Christmas Eve, so he's not talking to him anymore. So
Why is Patrick Reed suing?
well, I
him?
think he was
Defamation of character?
No, he was sending it on behalf. I mean, this is what the LIV is trying to do is say all our guys are together, and so he might have sent it or said it's coming or whatever. But
Well, you know what? Here's the
crazy.
thing with the LIV. They want to eat their cake and have it too. Really, they do. They want to be able to go make their millions, but they want to make sure that they can make their millions off of your back, and then they want to come to your home and make their millions on your home.
look at I think
So
what
I'm sorry.
happens with this stuff is if it's not right, it's going to die. I think what really has happened here is you got a PGA who did what the baseball owners did, made all the money, and the players were making money, but not as much as the LIV is offering them. So they're a little to blame for what happened with this
Well,
the
yeah.
LIV. The second thing, though, that what the LIV is saying, the PGA guy on the tour said, and it might have been McIlroy, these guys are on the tail end of their careers that left to go to the LIV. They're on the back 9, so to speak. That's not true, and Dustin Johnson can
No,
win
they're not.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe Mickelson, you're right. But in any case, that's what sports is all about. I mean, you can watch baseball during the season, and then the hot stove league doesn't see it. Well, they signed, what's his name, Duvall.
Yeah, but that's not.
No, I think they signed this other kid, Mondesi, today.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
good. He's a shortstop, switch hitter, incidentally.
Yeah, I'll wait to spring training and see what they have.
Well, Sale's pitching well. I mean, he's not. They told him
That's
he can't
another
do
one
anything
I'll
but
wait
stay
on.
in the house.
Yeah. All righty, Al. Well, thanks so much, everyone. We want to thank you for taking your time here on Stepping Up to the Plate. We look forward to next time we can speak more maybe about the Super Bowl matchups, and we'll place our bets then.
Okay.
All righty. Hey, everyone, thanks very much. We look forward to seeing you next time here on Stepping Up to the Plate. Take care, everyone.